For more, we're joined by two guests here in New York. Catherine Rutchlen is a policy analyst at Demos and author of the report Fast Food Failure, How CEO-to-Worker Pay Disparity Undermines the Industry and the Overall Economy. And Terrence Wise joins us from KCPT, Kansas City Public Television. He's worked for Burger King for 9 years, plans to go on strike today as part of the international push by fast food and retail workers to demand a living wage. He's a member of the Stand Up Kansas City campaign. We last spoke with Terrence in August as the strikes were just beginning here in the U.S. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Terrence, let's go to you. You've worked at Burger King for 9 years. How much do you make an hour, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I've worked in fast food for 17 years and at Burger King for 9 years, and I make $9.40 an hour at Burger King.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said. Can you say that again?
I'm sorry, I've been working fast food for 17 years, and Burger King I've worked for the past 9 years, and I make $9.40 an hour working there.
And why are you going on strike today?
Well, I'm going on strike for my family. I raised 3 little girls here in Kansas City, and I need their future not to look anything like the past. We've struggled with homelessness, paying basic utilities, gas, rent, the lights, and that's while working every day. The working poor is what we are.
Are you concerned about retaliation if you go out today? What has Burger King said? Presumably, since this is being organized all over the country, Burger King and McDonald's know that workers are going to be walking out.
Well, I first spoke to you, Amy, in August. That was my first strike, and this is number 4 for me. So we know that the federal laws provide us a protection when we come together as workers and demand the corporations we work for to pay us a living wage and to give us the right to form a union. So with that knowledge of knowing that the federal government protects our rights to organize and go on strike, it's a huge relief for fast food workers.
Terrence, how many hours a week do you work at Burger King?
Between 35, 40 hours a week.
And your take-home pay?
Well, I make $9.40 an hour, so it's like 35, 40 hours a week. It's after taxes, maybe $400 every 2 weeks, and that's working double sometimes, going in the morning and working at night, just not bringing in enough. And we know that these companies make billions in profit. They can afford to pay us better and do better by us and give us a voice on the job. Well, that's what we're demanding.
Catherine Rutchlen, you've been studying this, the issue of what these fast food companies can afford. Your report, Fast Food Failure, How CEO-to-Worker Pay Disparity Undermines the Industry and the Overall Economy. What is the disparity between the CEO, say, of Burger King and the workers or McDonald's?
Well, you know, when I started the study, I didn't know that fast food was going to be such an extreme outlier in terms of pay disparity. The study arose kind of in this context that Terrence and other workers like him have created, where there's a growing awareness that inequality is undermining the economy at several levels. But when I dug into the data, what I found was that fast food is a catalyst with inequality that outstrips all the sectors of the economy. The CEO of a fast food company in 2012 earned 1,200 times what the typical worker earned that year.
1,200 times.
1,200 times. And that's with a fairly generous assumption that workers in fast food are receiving benefits and work a full-time schedule, which in many cases, you know, isn't true.
How does that affect the industry and the economy as a whole? You say it hurts it.
That's right. You know, there's a macro level story that's just become part of the conversation with organizations like the IMF and the World Economic Forum in Davos, pointing to inequality as a threat at the macro level because it generates instability in the economy and undermines growth. But then at the micro level, firms are starting to wake up to the fact that it undermines their bottom lines as well. In March, McDonald's filed with the SEC and listed income inequality as one of the primary risks facing their own returns over the coming years, not just because workers are striking, but because they're having a hard time satisfying their customers because they've underinvested in the frontline services that really build the brand and provide revenues.
How do you respond to the company saying, all right, if they increase the workers' wages, but then consumers have to be willing to pay more for the burgers?
Well, firms have a lot of ways that they could pay for a raise. They don't necessarily have to pass the cost on to customers. They could do that, but they could also use some of the ways that they're redirecting their profits right now. Firms like McDonald's spend billions of dollars a year buying back their own shares of company stock on the market in order to consolidate ownership and bump up earnings per share and meet these short-term benchmarks. But that's really a short-term understanding of the interest of the firm, right? If they had a longer-term perspective, they would see that rather than investing in their share price, if they were investing in their labor force, they would generate returns, higher productivity, loyal workers with better knowledge of the company processes, lower turnover rates, so lower costs associated with job search, and they would actually receive benefits through that investment that would pay off in the long run.